I posted on Reddit 5 years ago when I caught my new wife cheating. I'm unsure if it was this group, maybe the relationship advice group instead. Back to the point, my wife was cheating throughout our engagement, marriage day, and even honeymoon. The best days of my life, she was sending pictures of her naked body to another man every chance she had. Having sex with him while she was supposed to be buying wedding dresses. I found out in the worst way imaginable. Even the consensus on Reddit was that she was beyond any second chance. A lot of things happened in between. I confronted her, then went back and forth on what I wanted, but in the end I filed for separation. She seemed to accept my decision and stopped pleading and trying to convince me to try again. She said that if I had made up my mind, she would try to at least make the divorce easier for me. We had wild sex the day she signed the papers and handed them to me. I hated her touch, but desired her body at the same time. She told me she was sad for herself but happy for me, because I deserved much better than her. She broke down and said she had no reason to live anymore, but she would keep living because she didn't want to bother me. In my mind I called BS on that, but in reality, I kept silent and just left. I always had an inferiority complex about my wife. She was better than me in every way, prettier, smarter, earned more, and had way more friends. I also recognize now that I was heavily depressed, even before finding out about her cheating. I joked earlier that she didn't look good with a plain, middle-class guy like me. She should go be with some millionaire supermodel. She always said she found such people shallow and boring. And she found me beautiful too. So when it came out, I concluded that she was just like that, a liar. Everything she had ever done or said to me was a lie. This image that she created in front of me of someone who didn't want anyone other than me was a facade she created for whatever inexplicable reason. She never loved me, never thought I was attractive. She had sex with me and then went to the bathroom to send pictures of her body to him. She was just a liar and a cheat. That's who she really was on the inside. So, her claim that she had nothing to live for, her proclamations before marriage that I was the only person she really cared about, and that she would lose her identity if she lost me, I believed all of those before, because she said them so lovingly and convincingly. But now I know they don't mean anything. She has always lied to me. Just another manipulative statement. It's pretty obvious, or so I thought. My ex kinda disappeared after that, and I moved on too. I got into a lot of new hobbies for the next 5 years. It was a long time. I also dated a lot of people, and tried casual hookups for the first time in my life. I just felt numb. There was nothing of substance. I did not enjoy my time with other women. There was an adrenaline rush that was addictive, but not long-lasting. But I did make a whole lot of what you could call friends. There were people to keep me company. I didn't feel alone at all. For the first time in my life, I was able to confide in people, even about my toughest struggles and the cheating. In the past, I wouldn't have trusted anyone that much. It's strange how being betrayed made me trust people more. I also started dating, but I couldn't connect with anyone on the level I wanted. I lived this way for 5 years. Last week I went on a solo vacation and visited many nearby tourist spots. In one of those places I saw my ex-wife at a roadside fast food restaurant. My heart immediately sank. I had no intention of running into her, but she saw me before I could leave. In that moment something changed. Maybe I didn't want to make things awkward. Or maybe I realized I needed closure from her. I walked towards her, smiled as if she were an old acquaintance, and asked if she was alone. She looked at me with wide eyes for 5 seconds, as if she couldn't believe it was really me, and then faintly said yes. It was a strange conversation. We talked about mundane things, completely avoiding the elephant in the room. She started shaking, and when I looked at her, she was crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she had dreamt about this day since we separated. When I rudely told her I wasn't there to take her back as my wife, she said she understood and that she just wanted to talk to me again. The entire conversation was just me trying to get a reaction out of her by asking and saying intentionally hurtful things, while she patiently explained and told me things I've always wanted to hear from her, but never fully accepted. The reason I couldn't reconcile 5 years ago had a lot to do with my rage about her infidelity and all the anger that consumed me. I couldn't think of anything else but that seething anger. I couldn't even look at her without wanting to do something bad to her. I've always had anger issues. I didn't even consider talking to her or asking her questions. I wanted nothing to do with her. She begged and pleaded, but I felt nothing but rage. I could have burned down the world with that much anger. It's not as intense as before, but the anger is still there. I don't even remember most of the questions and statements I made, but she calmly sat there and explained everything from her perspective, never blaming me for anything. She apologized over and over, validating my feelings. I don't know why she did that, but it felt really good to hear it. I felt at peace. Later on, we left the restaurant and walked on the sidewalks. She thanked me at the end for giving her a chance to say all those things. She also told me she wants to be a part of my life again, if I let her. We don't have to remarry if I'm not comfortable with it. We can choose what we want to be for each other. I'm seriously considering working things out with her now, but I also wonder if this is just a temporary high. I know I was denying myself closure by avoiding talking to her. I needed to understand why she did it, if I was inferior or couldn't satisfy her in any way. I've listened to all her answers now, and it feels like everything is resolved. Is that why I'm starting to think about her in that way again? Or do I still have unresolved feelings? Or do I actually want to be with her? With a cheater, I also think if it is possible for a cheating wife to feel so much regret and pain about her wrong decisions even 5 years later. She says she regrets it every single waking second of every minute of every day of her life for the last 5 years. She said she hated herself, and she will have sold her soul to turn back the hurt she caused me. How can a person turn from a selfish boss to a supposed selfless being who only exists for me? That does seem a bit much. I worry about if I'm being manipulated by her again. If she did it once, she can do it again. Or is it me overthinking? I am just very confused. Reader comment. Seems like the reason you're confused is because you never really did any actual work on yourself to get over her and build yourself up mentally. Is it possible she changed? Sure. Is it likely? Meh. She told you what you wanted to hear when you were with her. Now she's telling you again what you want to hear. People can grow and change and mature, but everything you described about her painted her as having narcissistic tendencies and constantly seeking validation from other men. Without serious therapy, it's extremely unlikely she's made any progress in fixing those issues. So, the most likely scenario is that she hasn't changed much, and you haven't changed much. So, you immediately feel the same attraction for her you did before. It's just a redo. Original poster. I live in a place where going to therapy is treated the same as going to a mental asylum. And counselors who practice here are not competent. I've heard some very negative things. I know I need help with many issues. I don't know if I can find it without leaving my country, or at least my town. And I'm not very keen on online options. They seem like a gimmick. My ex-wife got into spiritual discovery and meditation. She's even joined an ashram. Neither of us are religious, but she does believe in the existence of some higher spiritual power. I personally think that's BS, but if it's helped her in any way, then good for her. Update: I want to believe her. It feels good to talk to her, to hear her voice, even if it's over a call. She keeps asking to meet me, but I'm not sure if I want to meet now. I want to believe her when she says she waited for me all this time. When she says she didn't consider dating anyone else for a single second while she was away from me, I feel so helpless again. I know our relationship has the potential to be amazing, but the fact is, I don't trust her at all after all she did. She will go out for 5 minutes, and I will imagine her booking a hotel room to be with another guy. She's been really taking the initiative. When I asked if she's willing to give up access to her passwords, she offered to hand over her entire phone to me instead. I told her that even if she does everything perfectly, it's still possible that it won't work out. And we will both lose those years of our lives for nothing. She says she will be grateful for the chance, even if things don't work out in the end. I get the feeling these are shameful answers, and she doesn't really mean them. I have been seriously considering online therapy. Offline counseling is just not an option here. I talked to her about it and she was immediately on board. All I hope is that these emotions and gratefulness are genuine. The emotions, gratefulness, and vulnerability she is showing now are genuine and not some kind of manipulation tactic. Maybe I'm just paranoid, who knows? All the painstaking things she has done to restart our relationship, she would not have done if she did not truly love me. After all, I have nothing that you wouldn't find in 1,000 other corporate job-working, small-town guys. I think I thought too lowly of her at times. She gave me a great life before our marriage. I do not have deep knowledge about narcissistic people, but I do not believe she is one. We have been together since we were both nothing. She helped me through my dark times, even financially. She never made me feel like a lesser man. In fact, she made me feel like I was the best man in the world. She was the one always planning surprises, arranging date nights, and listening to me whenever I needed to vent. I will say it, she was the perfect partner I could have asked for, except for the fact that she was sleeping with another guy while doing all that, obviously. I believe she did love me in a strange, messed up way. Either that, or it was all a facade. Was she enjoying making a fool out of me while pretending to be the perfect wife? Did she get off on it with her lover, making fun of how gullible I was? But even that seems too far-fetched. It's like I have all the answers from her. But I still do not feel like I have closure, because I do not trust her at all. I have zero trust. And I do not hope for 100% closure to ever come. I want to believe her though, because in the end, I think the decision I see myself making is clear. I will at least try to work it out with her. Or that is the plan for now. Read her comment. She seemed to have a long, messed up history with you, bro? That itself is not a true nail in the coffin. The real question is what she has told you about why she did it. What has she learned? How has she changed herself to ensure she's not that person? It is not about the past when reconciling. It is about if she is truly remorseful and has deeply changed. Do not tell us about the past, man. Fill us in on the present. She sounds like she was a nasty piece of work. So the present has to be perfect to be worth it. Is it? Also remember not to overcommit. Be cautious. Good luck, original poster. When it came out, I asked her this. And she said she grew tired of being a good and perfect person. She wanted to see how it feels to be so whatever she wants for a little bit. And then it got out of control because the guy fell in love with her. She also developed feelings. She told me that she is sure there was something wrong with her, but she does not know how to fix it. I have not asked the same question again now. She might give a different answer now. I did not think about that. I do not know what perfect is supposed to mean. As long as she does not cheat, she is perfect to me as she is now. Update. Do you go in blind when starting to reconcile after your wife's betrayal? My wayward ex-wife has shown me a lot of what remorse is, or at least what I feel is remorse. She told me she lost all feelings she had for her affair partner immediately after being found out. She called what she had with the other man delusions. She told me she had some attachments with him, but it was not love. How is it even possible to lose feelings for someone you had an affair with for a year in just one day? She told me she has never reached out to him or even thought about it. Moreover, she said she hasn't dated or seen anyone else in 5 years and has no intention of doing so in the future. She regretted her decisions and cried almost every night. She has cut off all her friends who knew about the affair even without me asking. This wouldn't have mattered to me, but now that she's said it, it really bothers me whether she's still lying. I don't know why it all feels like exaggerations and lies. That is my issue. It would have been fine if she had told me she reached out to the other person after separating from me, or she started seeing other men but decided it wasn't worth it, or she took a lot of time to forget about her feelings for the other person. But now that she's said all these things, it feels like I need to know the truth. I have a problem with her lying, that is all. Now all she said to me, I have a gut feeling they are lies. Can I reconcile or start reconciling with that feeling without completely trusting her? I know trust is supposed to be gained back little by little, but It feels wrong to let her become close to me when my gut feeling is that she's manipulating me again. But I also spent 5 years with the conviction that my wife was the personification of evil, and everything she said was a lie or manipulation. It will be hard to rid myself of that conviction now. I'm not about to let her move in with me. We will live separately. I think I will try to date her now and also look for therapy. When she knew I was looking for therapy, she did her own research and also booked a demo online session for both of us separately. I told her about books on infidelity that someone messaged me about, and she told me she's already read some of them, and she'll order the rest. To me, at least, it feels like she really regrets, and she will do the necessary work. Is it the right thing to reconcile with zero trust, though? Is it normal for people to go into reconciliation with this huge voice in their head telling them they're being manipulated and they will get hurt again? Reader comment: if you don't trust her or unable to forgive, don't try. It's been 5 years. If you haven't forgiven yet, I highly doubt you will. Most affairs are a fantasy, and they aren't in love with the person as much as they are with the fantasy. So it's possible to lose the attachment quickly. Maybe not in a day, but there's likely honesty in what she is saying. She loved the fantasy of what could be, not the day-to-day life issues. When that fantasy crashed down, so did the reality. I can't help feeling like a failure. I met her today and I felt a lot of anxiety on the way. I don't understand why. When I saw her, it was totally opposite of how I felt last time. I wanted to hide and run away. I couldn't even speak. Even though we had a lot to talk about, I felt humiliated and didn't want to be seen with her. She noticed and asked if it would be better to meet some other time. I thought about it, and the thought of giving up and leaving was humiliating too. I just sat there frozen in time, not knowing what to do. I wished that I could evaporate and not exist anymore. When I was sitting there next to her, she was looking at me, expecting me to say or do something. I couldn't even find my voice. Then I thought, maybe it's a fact that I am weak-willed. If I were a little more self-confident, would I have left? Am I only holding on to her because I'm too scared to let go? So I kept hanging on to this. I was with a woman for 5 years, even though she cheated. I don't like thinking of myself like that, but this is really a punishment. I have never felt so powerless, frozen, and weak in my life. In the end, we did nothing. We just sat there and ate our lunch. She held my hand, but I had to ask her to stop. Even her touch felt suffocating. In the end, she just thanked me for being strong and for trying, and asked me not to force herself to come. She said I was strong enough to even look at her. Then I left, and as soon as I came back, I slept for 5 hours during broad daylight because if I didn't, I would be crying nonstop. But the thing is, I still want to talk to her. Even after all that, I still want to go back and try to have a heart-to-heart with her again. Why? Is it because I love her and I see a future with her? Or is it because I am gullible, weak-willed, and scared and I'm letting a cheating wife manipulate me again and again? Is it normal to feel so terrible like this? One day I feel hopeful and almost happy, and the next day, I feel completely hopeless and hard on myself. It will be very difficult to live like this if it continues for the rest of my life. Read her comment. She is an extreme person. Her cheating was extreme. Her self-sacrifice in the past 5 years was extreme. Her actions towards you now are extreme. Can you see this? You put yourself down as a middle-class guy like millions of others, nothing special. But you never say that about her. She was 1 in a million. Never mind her. What about the person she cheated with? What kind of man cheats with a woman who is getting married, gets married, and cheats on the honeymoon? These are not normal people, in my opinion. My definition of normal. You don't say much about a fair partner, so I don't know what his major malfunction is. Your wife too, what made her that way, able to do that? Something is missing inside her. And then there are the extremes. What do you make of the extremes? Is it normal to feel so terrible like this? One day I feel hopeful and almost happy, and the next day I feel completely hopeless and hard on myself. Extremes can do that to you. I have been with some extreme women, and some of the highest highs I've ever had, but ultimately it wasn't real in the long term. I can't give you much advice. When I was young, I made a decision not to go backwards. so I don't really have anything to give you, good or bad. Original poster, why does she have to be such an extreme person? It's too much for me. I think what I will fit into is a boring conventional life with a boring conventional woman. Not someone who comes in like a whirlpool and destroys my sanity. I couldn't sleep at all last night. I was talking to her over text late at night. So I finally asked her why she did it, what was wrong with her. She told me there's nothing apart from her selfishness. This is all she says she's thought about for years. She couldn't find anything wrong with herself as a person, or anything in her past like in the infidelity books. She just decided one day that she had enough of being who she was and wanted to escape and have some fun without worrying about consequences. She keeps saying it's not about me, but shouldn't she have stopped herself if I was important to her? Doesn't this mean I was never important to her? Is it possible that I was never as important to her as she led me to believe? I'm not sure how to interpret that. Honestly, I've been avoiding thinking about a lot of what she said. Update, I raised my voice at her today when I saw her engagement ring still on her hand. I will take a break to work on my anger issues. I have asked for a separation again. I cannot go through reconciliation because I feel like I'm a threat to her. It was such a small thing that I could have just asked about or told her to remove it. I don't know why, but it felt like I lost control of myself. It was as if someone else was behind the wheel. This is not who I am. I didn't enjoy doing it and regretted it immediately, but the damage was done. Today is the first time I made someone cry with my words. This is abusive, and I don't want to be like this. It's really scary for me too. I can't believe I didn't notice when I met her. She still wears her ring. That disgusting ring that she wore while sending explicit pictures to her lover because he liked seeing her in her engagement ring. That ring she used as a plaything for her excitement. I know my anger is justified, but the way I reacted was not. More so, I don't trust her. What if she's trying to provoke a reaction from me to get me into prison too? What if she sees me as her enemy, like she started seeing her affair partner? This woman goes to extreme lengths. It may seem ridiculous, but so are the other things she's done. I told her that it would be better to have no contact and continue with therapy. She again pulled her usual tactic, asking if I was sure, and when I said yes, she said, "Okay, your choice. I will honor it." I feel very disappointed, mostly in myself. But I am also hopeful, because this time of no contact will help both of us in our journey. Edit. I forgot to mention that I attended my first online therapy session, and it was much better than I expected. Thank you to those who tried to convince me, and those who sent me links. It's definitely not a waste of time as I had thought. I have also booked sessions for the next few weeks. Update, I'm a pathetic effing doormat. I feel weak and helpless again. It feels worse than on D-Day. We are now in no contact and on a break. I have told her not to contact me physically or by texting. I felt good during the day. I felt positive, because I know separation is a positive idea. It will give me time and space to work on my anger issues, and for her to find her truth about why she had an affair, and why she won't do it again. But tonight I'm shaking. I'm crying and angry at the same time. I can't believe I'm effing thinking about her this much. I haven't stopped obsessing over what she's doing, and if she's cheating again and making fun of me again. My imagination is becoming very vivid even in my dreams. I saw one of their sex tapes reenacted right in front of me last night in a dream. I screamed when I woke up. The degree to which I felt useless, like a failure, like a fool, is beyond what I can write. I had to bang my head against the wall a few times to regain some clarity. I feel like a zombie. Just like zombies think about eating flesh all the time, I think about her cheating on me all the time. I see a couch, and my mind creates a hallucination of her spreading her legs on it, with her lover on top of her. I took LSD once, and even those hallucinations were less vivid than what I'm experiencing now. I'm effing losing my mind. I know what I need to do. I'm codependent on her. Even her therapist suggested to her that we both might be codependent on each other. I cannot ever get out of this effing trap. I don't think the reasons matter all that much, to be honest with you guys. It was as simple as that. She got selfish and wanted two men at once. No reason or explanation will make me feel safe. I just need to accept it. That she becomes a selfish, arrogant person sometimes who cheats on me and hopes she'll come back to me every time. Even better, I can pretend that I actually like it and convince her to do it with my permission. I have tried for 5 effing years to forget her. 5 years? That's 1/6 of my life and almost half of my adult life. I still get drawn to her. I cannot even find other women attractive. It's a trap, and all I can do is accept my fate. Maybe therapy will save me, but I'm not keeping my hopes high. The first person to send me a direct message here called me a doormat. And I had to Google it, because I didn't know what it means. Now I know what it means. 'Cause I am an effing doormat. What do you guys do when you're anxious? I'm on no contact with my ex-wife, so I'm not sure if I belong here. I'm not reconciling yet, but I am considering it strongly. I don't know how many betrayed spouses did not have contact with their unfaithful partner, but I never imagined it would be this effing hard. I pace from one part of the house to another, or watch dumb Netflix reality TV. Without some distraction, the anxiety kills my effing mind. I literally cannot think about anything else. It's like a physical urge to grab my car keys and see what she's up to. I feel like bringing her here and making her stay in front of my eyes all the time, or I will go insane. I am losing my mind, and that is not an exaggeration. My fingers are visibly shaking as I type this. I figured out that caffeine and energy drinks make me feel better, and only that is getting me going for now. How did you guys go through this? I can get myself into a psychiatric facility, and I have been thinking about it, but that will also mean a lifetime of judgment and avoidance by other people. I am not privileged enough to be in a developed country. The people here are weird about mental health and think that everyone who goes to a psychiatrist is insane, dangerous, and should be avoided. I have literally seen this happen to a friend, and at this point, I cannot handle further isolation from society, or I will lose everything. So that is not an option. I see no other option. I have to end this no contact, or at least keep the textual communication going, and at the same time I can slowly talk about my anxiety problems and seek help. I want to read comments from other betrayed spouses. Is this a good idea? Is it normal to feel anxiety, or am I just overreacting? Should I continue trying some more? Update: I moved in with my ex-wife. I stopped the no contact last week and sent her a message the next day after my last post. She offered to send me a picture of herself every half an hour, share her location, and do video calls anytime I want. She also told me that the only way I can feel 100% safe with her is if we stay together, and she stays in front of my eyes. Considering how much I've suffered in the last few days, she's right. I did not want to do this, but last weekend I asked her to move in with me. Today is the first night we sleep under the same roof after being apart for so long. After 5 years of living under the same roof, I have made it clear that I am not ready to sleep in the same bed, or even the same room as her. As a result, she has agreed to sleep in the guest bedroom without question, as she always does. Today, she also asked me about what she should and should not do in the house. She asked if she was allowed in my bedroom, if I would mind if she prepared food for me, and if there were any places or actions that I did not want her to do in the house. It's as if she knows exactly how to make me feel better and more comfortable. When I tell her I feel suffocated, she gives me space. She encourages me to share my thoughts, even if they are disappointing or hurtful to her, because she wants to truly listen and understand. She is also working on understanding the reasons for her affair in therapy, and keeps me updated on her progress. I know that she is making an effort to make me feel safe, and most days it helps. But today I feel sick. The memories of her cheating, mainly through late-night sexting after I went to bed, are triggered by seeing her in the same house again. The biggest issue is that I cannot sleep. I struggled to sleep for a long time after D-Day because she always cheated after I fell asleep. And now, she is awake in her room, probably feeling guilty for causing my lack of sleep. She offered to sleep in her car for a few days to give me space, but it won't make a difference because the house itself is becoming a place of either sleeping in the car or having a sleepless night for both of us. On a side note, I remember when I found out about her affair, I cried a lot while confronting her for the first time. The pain of losing my parents at a young age was nothing compared to the grief I felt on D-Day. Someone I trusted with my life used that trust to hurt me and gain sexual pleasure from deceiving me. So I cried. I felt like my entire life, everything I believed in, was a lie. She was surprised by my tears, looking at me as if she had seen a unicorn. She was also crying and immediately started apologizing and begging for a second chance. But she never took her eyes off me. I asked her today why she was looking at me like that on D-Day, and she said that the image of me crying is burned into her mind to this day. She wanted to punish herself, so she forced herself to look at me and see the pain she caused. And it was much more than she expected. She never thought I would cry. She thought I would lose all respect for her and not want to be with her anymore. That's why she was surprised. She also opened up to me about her tendency to punish herself. She couldn't stop thinking about how I was feeling, so she went through her texts with the other person alone and imagined how I would feel reading them. She forced herself to remember the pain I felt on D-Day and cried herself to sleep. She even had thoughts of self-deletion, but she realized that it would be an easy way out. And she didn't deserve that. She admitted that she still has a tendency to accept bad things happening to her because she feels like she deserves it. She is exploring all of this with her counselor, and although it is concerning to hear, I am glad that she is taking steps to understand and improve herself. She is actively addressing the issue in therapy. However, I am still unable to sleep in my own home. Unless I sleep outside, I am limited to short naps. She is doing her best to help. Firstly, she never brings her phone to her room, which is a major trigger for me. I do not believe she has ever shifted the blame, as she always takes responsibility and never makes excuses like, "This thing made me cheat on you." She also prepares breakfast for me, although I sometimes refuse to eat it just to annoy her. I find myself intentionally making things difficult for her, such as going out without informing her, coming home late, and not communicating with her. However, I am also receiving therapy and making progress. It may be slow, but we continue to discuss the same issues. I must admit my therapist has provided valuable insights on how to manage my anger,